Hey everybody, Dan Warmby with Keller Williams, West Ventura County here. Hope everyone's doing great. I'm coming to you from the road this week out in Utah, where it's absolutely gorgeous. With the market not really showing signs of cooling off, I wanted to chat with you guys about a tactic that some homebuyers are using to be more competitive in bidding wars, and that's waiving the appraisal contingency in an offer. For those of you unfamiliar, the appraisal contingency is a contingency in place to protect the buyer in the event that the contract price exceeds what the bank is willing to loan on the property. If you get into escrow on a property and the appraiser comes back with a lower price, you can cite that contingency and cancel the contract. But without that contingency in place, you're left with only two options. The first is to go ahead and cancel that contract and lose your earnest money deposit. That can be, if you're writing an aggressive offer, it's likely to be 3% of the purchase price of the house. And in our market, that can be an average of about $20,000. That's a lot to be gambling with on a tactic that ultimately you don't have any control over. The other option is to come up with a difference between the contract price and the appraisal price in cash. For a lot of people, that's not an option at all because they don't have tens of thousands of dollars in liquid cash that is completely disposable. Even if it is an option for you, it would be a shame to have that money out of the market and not earning more money for you. Looking at it from the seller side, it's really easy for buyers to get swept up in the emotion of a bidding war and the fear of missing out on a home. But once all the dust settles, they might feel, resentful about how the contract was written or, how they were advised. So they may not be too keen on seeing their earnest money deposit disappear. It's important to remember that escrow is a neutral third party, and their default position when the buyer and seller don't agree is to stop and do nothing. So it's not as if the property doesn't appraise, the seller automatically receives the earnest money deposit. Many times when there's a dispute that the parties can't resolve, the money just ends up sitting in escrow until it eventually gets wired to the state. And it's not as if in this market, waiving the appraisal is all that effective anyway. Some banks are betting that the property appreciation is so great right now that they can waive the appraisal anyway, just to ease the load on underwriting. So it really doesn't give you much of a competitive advantage, and it can leave you in a very costly situation. So rather than waiving the appraisal contingency, I almost always suggest and advise clients to look at increasing the purchase price and or tightening up those contingency periods before even thinking about altering the appraisal contingency. Anyway, I hope all that helps. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have an awesome rest of your week, everybody.